Well, hey guys, I saw that New Beauty magazine published an article regarding the 10 most Googled skincare questions in 2022, and I thought for fun in today's video, I would go through these questions, answer them, and you guys could get a sense of how smart you are in comparison to the average Googler. Number one question was, what skincare products should not be refrigerated? I thought this was interesting because we all know that, in 2020, the skincare mini fridge trend blew up. Everybody was influenced that they needed to have a skincare mini fridge. I have a video all about the mini fridge. If you want to use one, fine. I'm not going to come and arrest you, as I've said numerous times. Do you need one? Absolutely not. I think a lot of people believe that they should put their products in a mini fridge because it's going to prolong the shelf life. That's not necessarily the case. You should be able to keep the majority, if not all, skincare products out at room temperature. They're intended to be shelf stable. One reason I suggest refrigerating your skincare products is simply the feel of chilled product going on. The cold temperature can be helpful to put on the skin if you are experiencing itch, because the cold sensation helps distract the little itch signals. Another reason that you might enjoy chilling particular skincare products is that the cold temperature can help to alleviate puffiness, especially under the eyes. It's temporary, but when you wake up in the morning, it's not uncommon to have puffy under eyes, especially if you had a lot of salt the day before in your diet. Your seasonal allergies are all flared up. Whether it be a moisturizer that you use around your eyes, your eye cream, putting them on while they're chilled can really help to depuff the under eye area, just constrict the blood vessels and move everything back. But you shouldn't refrigerate everything. Clay-based masks should not go in a mini fridge. It's gonna mess up the formulation. I'm a big advocate of using a clay mask if you have oily skin. I really think clays, namely kaolin, zeolite, bentonite, they definitely can absorb oil from the surface of the skin, just kind of degrease everything. For those who are acne prone, that can be really beneficial. But refrigerating the clay masks kind of messes up how they set up, can cause formulation to not perform as well. If you enjoy using a body oil, a facial oil, or a cleansing oil, I would not suggest refrigerating those either. The cold temperature can make them very difficult to use. The other type of product you don't want to refrigerate is like a oily balm and ointment. Likewise, it's gonna harden and be very difficult to use. You're gonna have to let it come to room temperature before you can actually use it. There were a lot of questions Googled about niacinamide. What exactly is niacinamide? Niacinamide is vitamin B3, and it's an ingredient in skincare products that has actually good research to support its use, and it is coming up in everything, however, and not everyone tolerates it. It's generally well tolerated, but it can cause burning, stinging, and the symptoms of itch. In my opinion, this is especially more likely at higher concentrations, which is something that's really become quite popular over the years in skincare products, high percentage niacinamide, like serums and things, because it just makes a product stand out from its competitor if it has a higher percentage. But we know in skincare that ingredients, in terms of their efficacy, a higher percentage is not necessarily better, and in many cases it can just end up being more irritating to the consumer. So I suspect that that may be one reason why a lot of people are finding they don't get along well with niacinamide. It's an ingredient that they're putting in everything: cleansers, moisturizers, serums, toners, eye creams, lip balms, body washes. I mean, niacinamide for days. Some people just don't tolerate it, and it's actually become a problem for those folks. They have to spend a lot of time finding products free of niacinamide. What exactly is niacinamide good for? It's an antioxidant, it's anti-inflammatory, and it's actually been shown to be quite effective for improving hyperpigmentation. It's shown to do this, or thought to do this, by inhibiting the transfer of little pigment packets, ultimately reducing the overall amount of melanin in the epidermis, improving hyperpigmentation and helping it to go away faster. Niacinamide is also helpful for calming down redness, likely through its anti-inflammatory effects. So if you're somebody who is dealing with post-acne redness, niacinamide is something you might want to pursue. Or if you have rosacea and you're prone to redness, for sure, niacinamide likely is going to be something that is beneficial to you, provided you tolerate it. It's been shown to be helpful in reducing oiliness, and it's been shown to be helpful for acne. It's a great over-the-counter acne remedy. I say remedy because it's not an actual FDA-approved treatment for acne, but it certainly is beneficial. So if you have acne, and especially if you have acne that's prone to healing dealing with a dark mark or a red mark, consider niacinamide in your skincare routine. Niacinamide may also help to defend against accelerated skin aging brought about by exposure to environmental stressors like the big one, ultraviolet radiation, as well as infrared radiation, pollution, and it's also beneficial for helping improve the function of the moisture barrier. How do you incorporate niacinamide into your skincare routine was the fourth question. Niacinamide is pretty easy to incorporate into your routine because it is everywhere and you don't necessarily need a high percentage product in order to derive benefit. The majority of the studies out there use 5% max. Products that commonly have niacinamide in them that you're probably already using include moisturizers, lotions. You know, a lot of the studies using niacinamide didn't use like a separate serum or anything. They just used a cream with niacinamide, 4% niacinamide or 2% niacinamide in a cream. So to say that you need a serum to derive the benefit of niacinamide is not necessarily true. Now, how exactly do you put it on your skin? You want to use it 1 to 2 times a day as tolerated. When's the best time to use it in your skincare routine? Well, it really depends on the type of product that you're using. If you're using a niacinamide serum, probably going to want to use it earlier in your skincare routine, shortly after cleansing, once you've rinsed the cleanser residue off, and then apply moisturizer on over it. I'm someone who really advocates, though, keeping a very basic routine, just cleanser, moisturizer, and sunscreen. And by choosing a moisturizer and or sunscreen with niacinamide in it, then it's pretty easy to just incorporate it into your routine without even thinking about it. You use a moisturizer at nighttime with niacinamide, and then in the daytime you use a moisturizing sunscreen with niacinamide. CeraVe AM and PM are great everyday facial moisturizers that have niacinamide. I also really like the Dermatology Universal Tint SPF 46 sunscreen with niacinamide. Those are great products to incorporate in your routine. As a side note, YouTube has this new feature where if I want products that I mention, you can tap on the little bag icon and those will show up and you can read more about them. It's not an affiliate link or anything. I just wanted to draw your attention to that. Question number 5, what is BHT in skincare? BHT stands for butylated hydroxytoluene. It is an antioxidant that is used in skincare products because it's an antioxidant and it also acts as a preservative, allowing for products to remain shelf stable, allowing for the ingredients to remain functional. It is a good thing. It helps prevent products from becoming contaminated, potentially irritating, harmful to you. Why is this so highly Googled? Well, I like to blame this on everyone's favorite not working group, the EWG. As a matter of fact, if you put into Google just butylated hydroxytoluene or what is BHT, guess who pops up? The EWG. If you're new here, I am not a fan of the EWG. They misrepresent lab-based studies to promote products for which they have financial interest in, and they misrepresent the science to make people afraid of otherwise innocuous, harmless ingredients in skincare products. Now, is BHT safe to put on your skin? In skincare products, yes. It is used at very low concentrations. The amount that would ever be absorbed into your body is incredibly negligible. BHT is present in many of the foods that we eat. When it comes to safety, the other thing to remember is it's not the poison, it's the dose. And in skincare products, it's at a very low dose. Remember, water can be incredibly toxic, but we don't run from it in our skincare products. When you see water in a lotion, you don't worry that you're going to drown. You don't worry that you're going to develop hyponatremia. Those are things that can happen if you get too much water into your system. But it's not going to happen from a skincare product. You know, as with any ingredient in skincare products, it is possible that you might develop an allergy to it. But again, you can develop an allergy to anything. BHT is pretty low risk, actually, of developing an allergy to it. So it's safe and it's quite ubiquitous in skincare products. And not only skincare products, but topical medications, prescription medications that we use to treat people who have an impaired skin barrier, those who have atopic dermatitis. Crisaborole, for example, is a topical medication used to treat eczema, and it has BHT in it. And these patients, they have an impaired skin barrier, and there's no concern that the BHT is getting into their skin and getting into their body at toxic levels. It's safe to use in them, so you don't need to be worried about this ingredient in products. Question number 6, how long do skincare products last? This really depends depends a lot on the type of product and how the product is formulated overall. Many skincare products will come with a best by date or an expiration date. Another thing I like to point out on skincare products is this little symbol that you will find. It is a little open jar with a number followed by the letter M. It refers to the number of months after opening for which the product is good for. It's like a best by date. And I really do suggest adhering to those and not using products beyond the best by date or the expiration date because it just guarantees the efficacy of the preservative system and the functionality of the ingredients. You can feel more confident in using the product. Does that mean that a moisturizer that is maybe like 2 days beyond the best by date is going to be super harmful? Probably not. Use your best judgment. Signs a product has gone off include separation, a foul smell, maybe the packaging looks unusual, it's swollen. That would suggest that it's been contaminated with bacteria. A funny smell, separation, or a change in color. Definitely don't use products like that. They have gone off. Now, when it comes to over-the-counter medications, things that have an active ingredient that is an FDA-approved treatment, like many over-the-counter acne medications like salicylic acid or benzoyl peroxide, or skin protectants like dimethicone, they are required by the FDA to have an expiration date. And again, I don't suggest using those products beyond the expiration date. Sunscreen, as a side note, is required by the FDA to remain stable and functional for 3 years. What is slugging? Man, slugging really blew up again this year. Like some of these trends I feel like were really popular like 3 or 4 years ago, but with TikTok and like a new audience who maybe wasn't consuming skincare content before and is now seeing it, it's like suddenly the new thing when we've been talking about this for years now. Slugging, not to act like a snob, like what do you mean you don't know what slugging is? But slugging is, it's just a term that people have come up with for putting Vaseline on your face. Vaseline or petroleum jelly, it is the best occlusive ingredient in terms of reducing water loss from the skin. It's a great skin protectant. It helps cut down on water loss, and so that's really good for dry skin. And it's become popularized over the years to apply a layer of Vaseline or your favorite petroleum jelly based ointment, whether it be Aquaphor, CeraVe healing ointment, all over your face as the last step in your skincare routine before you go to bed to really seal in hydration. And a lot of people love doing this. It leaves the skin very hydrated, supple. It's not right for everyone. For many people who have oily and or acne prone skin, it actually can trigger a breakout. It is so occlusive that it can make you feel overheated. For those of you who have rosacea, that heavy ointment on the face, it can precipitate a flush, a flare of the rosacea. So the facial slugging thing, it's not right for everybody. I've done it a handful of times. I enjoy it, but it's not even part of my daily skincare routine. I'll tell you how I slug though. I do more of a spot focused slug myself around my eyes. I like to put Vaseline to my lips. Episodically this year, I really got into body slugging, putting petrolatum all over like my arms and legs, and then putting on like an old robe on over it and letting it all sink in and going to sleep that way. What does retinol do for your skin? Retinol is a cosmetic ingredient that when applied to the skin can be converted to retinoic acid. And retinoic acid is basically what tretinoin is, a prescription retinoid. Retinoic acid can help improve collagen production, smoothing out wrinkles and fine lines. Now, tretinoin, a prescription retinoid, is FDA approved for the treatment of acne, and it's also FDA approved for improving wrinkles and fine lines. But it's not tolerated by everybody, causes a lot of irritation in the beginning, and you need a prescription, at least here in the US, to use tretinoin. So the cosmetic market has retinol. Because they require the skin to do a few more things to it, they are far less irritating. They take longer to start working, but they certainly can be effective, at least for improving wrinkles and fine lines. But they work by binding to retinoid receptors inside the skin cells. Because they help the skin cells to turn over more efficiently and more appropriately, they also help in clearing up hyperpigmentation. So they're good for sunspots. If you got sunspots, solar lentigos, retinol is a beneficial ingredient, and the prescription stuff is a treatment for melasma, actually. Tretinoin, along with other skin lightening ingredients in prescription formulas, namely hydroquinone, definitely can help with melasma as well. It helps in possibly reducing acne breakouts, not to the same extent or research backing as the prescription stuff, but can be beneficial. And it just helps smooth out the skin surface, and it also helps calm down inflammation in the skin as well, in a good way. So it's got many benefits. Number 9, what is BHA? This is funny because BHA commonly is referring to salicylic acid, an exfoliant. Salicylic acid, technically, if you want to get technical, and I'm sure this really bugs chemists actually, salicylic acid is not even technically a beta hydroxy acid. I think somebody just named it that a long time ago, and it's kind of stuck, honestly, because it's not, I mean, if you want to get down into the chemistry, it's not technically a beta hydroxy acid, but it's a great ingredient nonetheless. Salicylic acid is typically what they're referring to when they talk about beta hydroxy acid or its derivative, lipohydroxy acid, or LHA. It is an ingredient that is an exfoliant, and it works by dissolving the glue between sticky skin cells. And because of that, it helps to break up the plugging of the pores. So if you have blackheads and whiteheads, salicylic acid will help dissolve that glue between those sticky skin cells. And it also helps facilitate shedding of the stratum corneum and cell turnover. Ultimately, that can have an effect on improving hyperpigmentation. Salicylic acid is lipid loving, and because of this, it really enjoys going into the oily surfaces like the pore, and it has an affinity for oil-rich surfaces. So that's a unique feature of it and what makes it a good acne treatment. It's very beneficial for acne, or it can be. It's found in acne face washes, acne leave-on products, and it also can improve the signs of skin aging by exfoliating the skin and helping to calm down inflammation. It's generally well tolerated, but because it's an exfoliant, of course, it can be drying, it can be irritating, but it typically is well tolerated in skin of color, which, you know, you always want to be careful if you have a deeper skin tone with your exfoliants that you're not causing too much irritation that puts you at risk for post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And salicylic acid is typically well tolerated in those groups. Now, I mentioned LHA, a derivative of salicylic acid, which also kind of falls under this umbrella of BHA. LHA, it exfoliates more precisely, and by that I mean salicylic acid will kind of dissolve the glue between skin cells in sheets. So when you do get peeling, it's like sheets. LHA works more on a cell-by-cell manner. So it's slower, but more precise and controlled, likely a lot less irritating. LHA is found in a lot of La Roche-Posay products. It is found, for example, in their Effaclar Duo. As a matter of fact, I'll pop that in the little bag icon you can tap on and read more about. So yeah, BHA typically is referring to salicylic acid. Long-standing track record of use for a variety of skin conditions, not just acne, also dandruff. You'll find it in anti-dandruff shampoos, seborrheic dermatitis. It's beneficial for treating psoriasis to help smooth down the plaques so that psoriasis medications penetrate those thickened areas of psoriasis much better. It's useful for foot fungus, toenail fungus, in breaking up the heaped up skin cells, which the fungus likes to snack on, smoothing everything out, and also ultimately allowing for the antifungals to penetrate the skin better. And it's also beneficial for the treatment of warts. It's used actually in many over-the-counter wart treatments, or just a very high concentration of salicylic acid that just dissolves that mound up of keratin and smooths everything out, hastening the clearance of a wart. As a side note, I have a video on how to get rid of a wart where I detail step by step how to use over-the-counter salicylic acid wart treatments to properly get rid of a wart, because a lot of people actually end up using them wrong. There are just a few tweaks in the routine that can really make a difference for you in terms of clearing those. So check that video out because I give a lot of tips there. Last but not least, is hyaluronic acid safe in pregnancy? Yes, it is. Hyaluronic acid is widely found in many skincare products. It is a humectant, and there are a few forms of it that skincare products will use. Hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid, sodium hyaluronate, And the way it works is basically it helps to hold on to water in the top layers of the skin, the stratum corneum, and ultimately that improves the moisture content of that part of the skin, the very top part. Because of this, by improving the moisture content, ultimately that really just helps the natural exfoliation processes occur more effectively because they rely on water to really perform well, the enzymes in the skin. And it also helps to, by hydrating up the skin, the cells, it helps to smooth the wrinkles and fine lines and just improve the overall function of the moisture barrier. Now, if you find that products with hyaluronic acid, you don't get along with them, for whatever reason they seem to be irritating, then avoid them. Hyaluronic acid, it can enhance penetration of other things into the skin. And because of that, you may find that perhaps some of the other ingredients in your products are just more irritating alongside hyaluronic acid. I have a video all about why is hyaluronic acid in everything and why is it irritating to some people, so check that out because I go way more in detail in that video. All right, y'all, those are the 10 most Googled skincare questions, at least according to New Beauty, which inspired today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, did you feel like you had a good grasp on all of the answers here, or did you learn something new? On the end slate, I'm going to put my best budget-friendly skincare of 2022 video. So check that out. But if y'all like this one, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.